Welcome back to Precious Fox Entertainment TV. It's 12 of May 2022, and we are bringing the news all the way from the Netherlands. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on our social media platform. Here is the news update. 11 men jailed for preparing to torture gang rivals in a sea container. 11 men have been jailed for between 1 and 9 years for their role in the Dutch torture chamber case, which made headlines round the world when the gang was rounded up in 2020. The case centered on 7 soundproofed containers in a warehouse in Brabant, which had been kitted out as cells and, in one case, as a torture chamber, complete with dentist's chair and restraining straps. Police discovered the containers in Westplantage after intercepting encrypted messages between gang members. They also seized a chest, freezer, garden clippers and gas burners which could have been used to torture the victims. Ringleader Roger P., nicknamed Piet Costa, was jailed for 33 months, which comes on top of the 15-year sentence he was given last month for smuggling cocaine on a massive scale. Judges at the High Security Court in Amsterdam said the gang was guilty of a variety of crimes, including preparing to kidnap and torture rival gang members and their families. The sea containers plus chat messages provided sufficient evidence to convict the gang, the court said. One message read out in court said, "We must have enough belts and tie wraps to tie them up." Another said, "We need pliers for fingers and toes." P's right-hand man was jailed for 8 years. He was found guilty of collecting information about the potential victims, among other charges. Police said the planned abductions had been prepared with great care, with an observation team and a large number of guns, police uniforms, minibuses, stop signs and bulletproof vests. The gang had argued that the containers had been kitted out to scare victims or to use for growing marijuana. Sport news. Ajax sweep to 5-0 win against Heerenveen Basel Eredivisie title. Ajax have wrapped up their 36th Eredivisie title by cantering to a 5-0 home win against Heerenveen. Nicolas Tagliafico set the ball rolling in the 16th minute with a shot from a narrow angle, before Steven Berghuis headed and Jurrien Timbers crossed to put the home fans in party mood. Late strikes from Brian Brobby and Edson Alvarez put the gloss on the scoreline as Erik ten Hag signed off as Ajax head coach in style. Traveling abroad this summer? You may still need a coronavirus pass. Regional health boards are expecting a run on coronavirus vaccinations heading into the summer now that the European Union has extended its vaccine passport for a year, the Telegraph reported on Wednesday. The pass, which has been abandoned in the Netherlands, shows whether or not someone has been fully vaccinated, recently recovered from coronavirus, or has a negative test result. If the coronavirus entry pass remains in force in a certain country, then we expect the number of booster vaccinations to increase as we head towards the summer holidays, the health boards said. Advertently, an EU digital COVID certificate is issued to people who have had a second vaccination no more than 270 days previously, or a booster shot, as well. Those who have a negative test at an approved testing center or a certificate of recovery. Currently, some 64% of the over 18 seconds in the Netherlands have had a booster vaccination, and 86% have completed the basic vaccination series. Status last week, the European Parliament agreed to keep the DCC pass operating until July 1, 2023, meaning travelers to some countries will still be asked if they can prove their status, the Telegraph said. The decision on whether to introduce restrictions on free movement to protect public health remains the responsibility of EU member states. Masks. While most European countries have lifted travel restrictions, some countries still require a pass to visit a restaurant or have kept face masks mandatory on public transport, for example. Read DW's roundup of the situation in popular holiday countries. Motoring organization ONB told the paper holidaymakers should check the situation in any country they plan to visit both when booking and before they leave. Asylum seekers left out in the cold as Terapel reaches saturation point. Dozens of asylum seekers in Terapel spent part of Tuesday night on the grass outside the fence as overcrowding problems continue to plague the accommodation center. The organization responsible for housing refugees, Cole, said the facility in Groningen was full and new arrivals would have to be taken in by the Immigration Service (IND) in Budel, 275 kilometers away. The asylum seekers had to wait until after midnight for transport to be arranged so they could spend the rest of the night in waiting rooms and offices. Advertent ECOA staff handed out blankets to people who faced a night sleeping outdoors and found space for the most vulnerable. This illustrates the shortage of accommodation places in this country, said spokeswoman Jacqueline Embers. It's deeply sad and not what COA staff want to see. The mayor of Westerwolde, Jaap Velema, told RTV Noord he had spent Tuesday evening trying to sort out the crisis. Eventually we found places for them in Budel, but the transport hadn't been arranged, he said. Tomorrow asylum seekers will be relocated in Budel and other locations. The municipality and safety board for Groningen have repeatedly warned about overcrowding problems at Ter Apel since the autumn. The lack of beds has been exacerbated by staff shortages and a backlog in processing people who have been granted asylum but are still waiting for a permanent home. Last month the local council ordered the COA to limit numbers at Ter Apel to 2,000, as originally agreed, and remove the emergency pavilions that were set up 2 years ago as overnight accommodation for newcomers. The marquee tents offered little privacy and fell short of acceptable standards of hygiene and personal safety, authorities said. There were reports of fights on site and fears that the cramped conditions would trigger an outbreak of coronavirus infections. Last October RTV Noord obtained documents showing that efforts by local officials and staff at the Justice Ministry to alleviate the problem had been blocked by political hesitation in The Hague, at a time when talks to form a new government were ongoing. And that is the news for today. We will see you again on our next video. Thanks for